a neighbor would come visit, and my mother would say, "Jessica is going through an awkward phase. Oh. We think she'll grow out of it." I didn't know what awkward meant. So when I looked it up, I told Mrs. Hawes from next door that awkward had 2 W's because it was from Middle English, and isn't it interesting, all the words in the dictionary? And I went on for about a half an hour until Mrs. Hawes ran home, muttering something about dinner being on the stove. After that, my parents invented grown-up time, where I was no longer allowed to talk to their friends, unless they asked me a question, and God forbid they did talk to me, I was to keep it short. Which was fine by me, because I didn't understand the rules and rituals of adults anyway, or other kids for that matter. I had no idea what they were thinking or why they left when I came around. If I was to learn how to be any less of an alien, then adults, it seemed to me, were no help at all. But my parents did want me to integrate with people. Thus began this summer of involving me in things. I did not want to be involved in things. After all, there were so many books begging to be read. I didn't want to be out in the world with people. So my dad tried to teach me sports that summer and inflicted me with the basic mechanics of baseball. I was so inept at baseball that he got frustrated and left me to read in the outfield, which is all I wanted anyway. In fact, all of the projects were failures. My parents gave up, and I had plenty of time with my books. Well, the last year I had blown through all of Judy Blume. By the time I was nearing the 4th grade, I had gotten into reading gory horror books my aunt had laying around her house. I would steal them from her bookshelf and tuck them into my puffy pink jacket when she went to the bathroom. They had incredible titles like Hell House or Watchers or The Shining. When my aunt caught me reading them, she said to my mother, "Jane, do you know the books your daughter's been reading are full of sex?" And I, never mind that the covers were covered in, gory death scenes and severed limbs. That was all right. But I absolutely knew there were sexy parts in the books, or as I like to call them then, the boring parts. They were no more interesting to me than how a curveball is thrown, and I knew just as much about one as the other. But they took my smutty books away. So I went to the library to find something else. I was already in the grown-up part of the library, so I found myself in that giant fiction section. It was titled Self-Help. I selected a book that had Making Friends right there in the title. I couldn't put it down. I read it over and over again. The book made me realize I could interact with people. I think my parents had it wrong. I wasn't an alien. Maybe I just had to figure out the rules, like I couldn't do for baseball. Well, I kept reading these books, and they helped push me forward to talk to people. I read the books, and my parents eventually gave me back Stephen King, but I never read them with the religious fervor that I used to. I worked really hard to listen to other people, connect with them, and enjoy them, which is all it takes to be an earthling anyway.
Now 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
You.
I timed it like 7.
I was just.
That was excellent.